Hey fellas, and welcome back to part 2 of this week's MPC episode called Raising Rebels Right. Now, if you haven't done so already, make sure you check out part 1 that was dropped last week to get your initial nuggets on how to raise your rebel. Otherwise, without further ado, welcome to part 2.
And so that's the nurturing aspect, right, of the opposite or the flip side of provoking to wrath. No, you don't provoke. How we keep from provoking is first we have to establish that relationship. We have to affirm. We have to help him recognize his identity. And I also think about how when you look at our relationship with Christ, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
He loves us. He woos us to him. He compels us to follow him. He doesn't order us to follow him, but he compels us. And so when we do that as fathers, when we develop that, cultivate that nurturing relationship with our sons, now we can correct the rebel.
Mm.
Yeah. Now I can come alongside him. Key point, come alongside him.
Right.
And say, hey, son, you're doing great, but here's some things that I need you to work on.
That's correction. Yeah.
He can hear you now. It's not sounding brass and tinkling cymbals because you've laid that foundation. You've cultivated that love relationship with him. You've affirmed him and helped him to understand his identity. So now when you correct, there's more of a leaning in to the correction.
Right.
Versus if I'm correcting with frustration or I'm correcting in anger, he's not going to lean into that.
Right.
So my correction has got to be the prerequisite for the correction is the nurturing.
I love it.
I'm opening up for y'all. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, but let me give this verse though.
Yep.
Proverbs
Yes,
29:15 says, "The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself brings shame to his mother."
Wow.
Fathers, you have got to correct your sons when they're wrong. Cannot leave it to anybody else. You've got to correct them. You've got to call them out when it's necessary.
And again, just to reiterate, not out of exasperation.
Yes.
Not out of anger. And that's where we have to put ourselves in check. Because we can actually do that when we're mad.
Parenting ain't easy.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah.
Right.
And here's the thing. You could actually have something going on in your life that is just stressful, and it can be taken out on your son.
That's right.
And you don't even realize that you're doing it because your tone of voice and your aggressiveness can actually come out in that space. When you're dealing with something else, then it comes out when you're correcting your son. And that's not fair to your son. So speaking the language, and I love that the word gives us so many verses on how we can parent.
Yes.
And then how we can discipline. That if we just put 2 or 3 of those scriptures in our spirit, in our hearts, that when we get to the disciplinary space, then it's easy for us to say those scriptures and then launch into discipline.
Right.
Because then it's going to quicken our spirit, especially if we got the relationship with the Holy Spirit. He's going to tell us.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's going to guide us into all truth about how we should be disciplining our sons at that point.
Right.
And when we're not operating in that.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I've
had the moments
I've had
where
that.
it's just been like,
why did I do that?
hey, son, I apologize.
I know.
Daddy came at you the wrong way.
Right.
I shouldn't have came at you like that.
Right.
You forgive me? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. I was just trying to tell you.
That's right.
But it happens, right?
Yeah,
because parenting is a challenge.
Right.
It is.
It's a challenge, and we in this flesh just as well.
Yeah.
It is.
That's
And
right.
that parenting causes one to become disciplined.
Yes.
Not just the child or the son, but the parent becomes disciplined.
Yes.
And how do I show up well? And how do I show up consistently? Even when I am disciplining
it's a stretching.
It is
Oh my
such
gosh.
a
Yeah. That's the
Parenting
challenging
is
part.
such a
right.
Yeah.
when you think you don't have the capacity, God stretches you more. Wow. It's just like, God.
I know.
Yes.
And so I just having both of my sons and also being guardians of others, walking through that, it really stretched me because having a full plate from a career standpoint,
Right.
taking care of the household from a financial standpoint, participating intentionally in all of their all of their extracurricular
Their
activities.
Right. Yes.
Then also being actively engaged in church. In some kind of role,
You got a
some
wife in
kind
that
of
too,
leisure.
right?
Oh yeah,
right.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
I
wife.
forget about that part.
Yeah, and the wife, making sure that she feels seen,
Yes.
valued, and heard.
All of that.
In that space.
Yeah.
And now I got a parent.
And you got a parent.
I got a parent well in that.
Yeah.
So having the capacity and the agency to be able to do that,
Right.
and to do it well.
Yeah.
To learn how to do that, stretch.
You out.
So I think what helps with that, especially when you talk about discipline for the father, what's going to help with that is knowing your capacity, knowing thyself,
Come on.
knowing your capacity, and what do I need to do in most cases when I do get to that tipping point.
Yeah.
What do I need to do to outlet? What time do I need? I told y'all before in previous episodes, I just sit in the garage sometimes and I just listen to sports talk.
With the car off?
With the car off, yeah.
Please,
Yeah. Let's
I'm
be
just
clear.
making sure.
That's right. It don't get that serious, brother.
Okay. That's another episode.
Yeah, it is. We are mental health month, right?
mental wellness month.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah. No, not to that extent.
Yeah.
But I'll just sit there and listen to sports talk radio, give myself an opportunity to decompress.
Yes.
We talk about all the time response versus reaction.
Yeah.
And so if we're boggled down and we've got the world on our shoulders, guess what? It's just one thing that'll send us over the edge.
That's it.
And it creates such a huge mess. That implosion that becomes that eruption becomes so messy and so damaging. If we're not careful and we don't know thyself and know when to be able to just, all right, I need a moment, then it could do more damage than anything.
I love the word that you used. You said that implosion.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Yep.
That's a real thing.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
That implosion
bottled
that
up.
happens to you that then explodes
Yes.
on the outside.
And let me demonstrate
Wow.
what implosion looks like. So implosion can be things happening around you and you internalize it in your mind. You're thinking about it. And there's an internal reaction. But of course, you mask it. You don't want anybody to see it.
Gotcha.
You don't want anybody to feel what you're feeling. So it stays bottled up. And just like any soda or any volcano, after a while, that pressure is going to need a valve.
Yeah.
And if it's not a healthy outlet, then it's going to come out in a damaging way. So we got
that can leave scars.
yes,
Yeah. That can leave scars.
100%. It could leave some
Unintentional
tremendous
scars.
Yeah, right.
Because a lot of times we think scars are intentional. They're not.
No.
Scars can be a connected, involved, engaged father who had an implosion and didn't have an outlet.
Didn't have an outlet. That's right. And now we have to go back and repair
That's so good.
a lot of those scars, right?
It is good.
Yeah. So it is imperative for us fathers to have something.
Yes.
Know what gives you that sense of release and liberty, and it could be anything. Whatever you feel like, of course in a healthy manner.
Yeah.
Whatever you feel like it's going to give you the opportunity to just have a moment or decompress. And I would even say this too, fellas. I would even say having something routinely that you do.
Yes.
That you know is going to help you to limit the pressure.
Absolutely.
Doing it on a regular basis.
So
is important.
yours is sitting in the garage with the car off, listening to talk
with
radio.
the car off.
The car off.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
making sure.
Also
No,
going to the
that's
gym.
one. And going to the gym.
going to
I
the
know
gym.
you do that a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
as well. What's yours, Myron?
For me, I would say probably going to the gym.
Yeah.
That's your outlet.
Yeah.
that
Going to
you're
the gym is
there.
an outlet. every so often video. Really, sports is my outlet.
Is your outlet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Watching sports? Or
Watching sports.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watching
Okay.
sports or going to the gym using my outlets.
And yours?
So mine is either I'm going to be in the park playing tennis,
Yep.
or I'm going to be doing some study, praying in the Word. And it's not like I'm all that. I just at that. When you talk about that routine,
Yeah.
I just like
Yes.
that routine
Sure.
every morning that I'm spending that quality time to help to ground me
Right.
Yeah.
in that space, and I love that. And then I think the last thing that brings me so much life and so much joy as well is really kind of like spending time with you all. Just
Yeah.
having that community of men
brotherhood.
Yes.
that I can just like,
Absolutely.
it's so wonderful. You know,
Yeah.
Refreshing.
it's refreshing
Yeah.
to have that kind of community.
Yeah.
That I can steal away for a little bit, but then come back and I'm ready to go.
Good.
There you go.
Yeah.
Look at him.
That's right. It's like show
Carlos been around the fellas again. Look at him.
And I know some of y'all watching saying, I thought they was talking about correcting the rebels and raising the rebels. This is a part of it.
It is.
Yeah, that's
Because
right.
if you don't have these outlets, if we don't understand the know thyself that you talked about, Osai, then our correction becomes unintentional scarring moments
Yeah,
for our
man.
kids.
Well
So we're
put.
very much on the correcting aspect, but we're just trying to help brothers to see it's a broader space. It's a broader brush that we're painting with. It's not just, okay, I got to go correct them. I have to make sure I'm in the right frame of mind when I'm disciplining my son
Yeah.
so that I don't scar him.
Right.
Yeah. And he needs you, fathers. They need you to help them establish those healthy boundaries when we talk about correcting them, right?
Yeah.
So your son needs to know what's appropriate to say and what's not appropriate to say. He needs to know sometimes, hey, you can't wear that. Where you going? But I really like this outfit. Yeah, I know you like it. And it's fly, but for where you're going, that's not the outfit you want to wear.
Man, were you in my house a couple of weeks ago? I'm trying to tell you.
Was he doing that?
Yes.
You wanted to
And
show.
It wasn't
Yeah.
anything inappropriate, but it just
Absolutely.
wasn't fit for the occasion.
For the occasion.
Right.
But
Yes.
he was just like, but
Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
yeah.
How you gonna dress
Let
down
me get
on
some.
that?
Yeah, let me
Yeah.
get some button-down shirts for you. man.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's good
Yeah.
stuff.
Here's what comes to mind for me is when we're setting healthy boundaries for our son. That speaks to me of modeling. What are they seeing from you to really understand what are your boundaries?
Let me tee you up. So this is the
Please.
training the rebel.
Okay.
Right.
That what that is? Okay.
As the father, you're the primary educator of your son on all things concerning God.
Yes.
And you have to model what it looks like to have a relationship with the Lord. So go on your model.
Okay.
About discipline.
I just want to tee you
Right.
up. Yeah.
No, that's it. If we're talking about, you're talking about training the rebel, is how are you showing up?
Yeah.
What are you modeling? And when we're talking about them being disciplined, your modeling could actually speak for itself. So how do you treat your wife?
Yeah.
What space does she hold in your life? And does your son see that? How's your career and how you're handling your career at this point? Is it all consuming? Or have you struck a healthy balance to say work will be there, but my family is most important?
Yeah.
Does he see you praying, actively involved in a healthy spiritual community at church? Does he see you worshiping? Because that's important.
Wow.
It is.
That gives him a level of freedom to say, oh, my relationship with God is not transactional. It's literally relational because I see my dad worshiping. I see my dad studying. I see him praying, even in the car or over our meals that we have.
Yeah.
And then how is he showing up in community? And here's the thing. Is he the same dad at church, at work, at home,
Yeah.
going out,
At the ball field.
at the ball field? Is he the same dad that shows up. So that level of modeling that you see becomes a source of discipline for your son.
That's good.
Those hats have to stay clean, man. You got to put those hats on. And what they observe is what they're going to demonstrate.
That's
it really is.
In any, like you said, in any space, in any sphere, if you show what it looks like, they're going to take note.
They are.
You know, and I think that's so critical. It's not just at home.
It's not just at home.
They need to see it in any situation.
Exactly.
Which is the reason why, again, we go back to that discipline, which is the reason why we always have to do a self-inventory. Where are we right now?
Where are we?
You know what I mean? Because sometimes, again, we talk about life is just hard.
Yeah.
We got a lot on our plates. We got a lot on our backs. And so every now and again, we got to do a check-in, do a self-check-in, see where we are.
Yeah.
You know?
It is, because they'll say, well, Dad doesn't do it. Why do I have to do it?
Yeah.
He ain't showing up for church.
Yeah.
There you go.
Why do I need to show up for church? He got stuff on the side he doing and seeing.
Yeah.
Then that gives me permission. It gives me permission to do that. So then when I do it and he tries to correct me to do it as his son, I'm thinking in my mind,
Hold up, brother.
The pot calling the kettle.
but
Hold
you're
up,
doing
brother.
it.
Yeah.
That's what you model.
That's right.
I love this. Share this example. So I have a son and a daughter. My son's older than my daughter. And, you know, those who have siblings know how sibling rivalry and stuff like that. And I've found myself saying to him at times, if he starts fussing at her, I'll wait till she leaves the room, and then I'll pull him to the side and I'll say, hey, you ever hear me talk to your mom like that? No. You shouldn't talk to your sister like that. Mm-hmm. But that's a part of that modeling.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Now, if I don't talk to my wife in an appropriate manner, and I say, you ever hear me talk to you? Well, actually, last night.
Right. You really want to go there.
But I was trying to do my homework and I couldn't. I couldn't concentrate.
But that's a part of that. That's a part of that modeling, right? Is recognized, like you said, they're watching, they're sponges. And I love the verse in Scripture that talks about we are living epistles, read of men.
Yes.
Everywhere we go, like you said, when you're out, wherever you are a living Bible that your son is reading every day. What does it look like to walk with God? I'm going to watch my father and see how he walks with the Lord. See how he prays. See how he worships. See how he even struggles in his faith sometimes. Because it's okay. Right? It's okay for your son to see you struggle in your faith.
Wow.
I don't mean struggling with if you're going to have faith, but struggling in a sense of there's a challenge before the family or something's going on and you really are having to go to God and pray and seek the Lord about what's going on. And he sees that. And he needs to see that because he's going to encounter those types of challenges in his life. And when he does, he'll have that memory of what he saw. Oh, I remember when Dad was dealing with this. Man, I remember, Dad, where you at? I'm in the basement praying, son. What you, again? Yes. Got something going on. I got to pray through it. Such a blessing, such a gift you can give to your son to see him watch you as Jacob did, wrestle and prevail. Woo!
Yes, yes.
Such a blessing.
He may have had a limp, but he prevailed.
Hey, he prevailed.
He prevailed.
I'm going to talk about that one.
Give me the limp.
I haven't talked about Jacob yet. I'm going to do a series about men, different men in the Bible. Jacob will definitely be one of them.
Come on.
Yeah, so much good stuff.
I love that. From boys to men.
Boys to men.
That could be good, right?
Hope you enjoyed this part 2 episode of How to Raise Your Rebel, but we're not finished. Part 3, the final episode of Raising Your Rebel, will drop next Monday, so be sure to tune in once it drops. As always, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all social media platforms, and also drop a comment or question regarding this experience in raising your rebel right. Until next time, be sure to go out and encourage another brother.